Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus Andrews. I'm the Director of Product Marketing at Pendo. Super excited to be here to talk to you today as part of Winter Olympics. Thanks, Pep. Thanks, thank you to the team at Winter. It's joy to be here. It's always fun to be part of these things. I'm really excited to talk to you all today. If we haven't met, or if you don't know too much about me, I am Director of Product Marketing at Pendo. I write and talk a lot about narrative design for business. It's something that I'm passionate about, and product-led, which is something I get the opportunity to talk a lot about at Pendo. I do a lot of writing on it, tweet about it, post on LinkedIn about it. If you get this deck, everything in here is linked out to all this stuff. And I have a podcast that I started at the very beginning of 2020, or right after the pandemic started, which I ran for about a year. And now there's a new host, but it's called the Product Marketing Experts. It's a great podcast, go into a lot of different topics, including narrative design. So check it out. If we haven't connected, I would love to connect. Find me on LinkedIn, connect. So today I'm going to talk to you about marketing at product-led companies. And most notably, I think how does it change? How does marketing change, or how marketing should change? How should it adapt at a product-led company? How should it be different? And why this is so topical right now is just because we are in the middle of a very big shift towards product-led. I think every company is becoming a software company in a lot of ways, with the product they deliver, and then also like how they operate, the tools they use internally. Software is really eating the world, eating all these different industries, and that's what's behind the kind of the product-led movement. I will give you my 5 big pieces of advice for marketing in a product-led environment. This isn't exhaustive. There's probably others. These are just the 5 that I think are top of mind for me right now. One is that the product can become your very best marketing channel. The second is that product launches can become your operating system, can become a very good operating system in a product-led company. Free users will become your number one audience. And I think a refocus of marketing teams on adoption. And then finally, narrative content and education. These are the 5 trends. We're going to get into them. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about my process for this, right? So like when I come up with a presentation like this or a deck like this, the first thing I like to do is take all the ideas that have been swirling around in my head on the topic and write it down. So I recently finished this blog post. It's over 2,000 words now. What are we at? Oh, not quite. I spoke too soon. It's almost 2,000 words, 1,800, 1,900. I'm going to submit it to my editor at Pendo on Monday, and it'll go up on the Pendo blog. So if you want to reread this after watching this, if you want to go deeper, read this on the Pendo blog. I think it'll be really good. It definitely goes deeper into all these ideas. Okay. And so before we get into the 5 pieces of advice for marketing in a product-led company, I'm sort of just going to read you the intro of this really quick. And I think these are the massive changes that are happening in the world. But before we talk about that, I think the best way to get into this topic is to talk about pizza, right? So pizza is delicious. It's cheesy. It came to America in the 1800s, and it hasn't changed very much, right? It's like, sure, there's lots of different variations, but crispy dough, tomato-based sauce, toppings. That's it, right? You can put whatever you want on it. It's still pizza. But anyone with a mouth will tell you that not all pizza is created equal. If you ask the average person, ask yourself right now, like, what's the best pizza you've ever had in the world? You're likely to say the pizza from the place you grew up, your hometown, right? Like, I will tell you right now that it's Volcano's Pizza in Elkhart, Indiana. That's the best pizza in the world. It really is. The pizza, if you ask that question to the average person, the answer you will probably not hear is Domino's, right? Domino's is this ubiquitous global chain of pizza. And I'm not here to get down on Domino's, but I think that it's just like, it's not bad pizza. It's just decidedly mediocre, right? It's like, it's not pizza that you tell your friends about. It's not pizza that you like, maybe you crave it, I guess, but it's mediocre pizza. And while it's mediocre pizza, they are extremely successful, right? Like, Americans eat a ton of Domino's. The company has had sales over $12 billion and has a market cap over $18 billion. Domino's makes pizza, but what they sell is fast, affordable, crowd-pleasing food, right? It's fun, it's easy to buy, and what makes their product fast and fun and easy to buy is great software. You guessed it, right? Domino's has an awesome logged in web experience, mobile app, and they have a very unique piece of technology in the pizza tracker. It's this app where you can track where your pizza's at. If you haven't used it, it's pretty cool. Domino's is number one in their market. They really dominate their market, and they do it because they are a product driven company. They get that we're not going to try to be the very best product. We're going to innovate on the customer experience, and we're going to innovate on the product, on the software experience. They've created a really, really, really good product user experience. And they've done this by aligning all their teams around the product, right? Like an example of this is the pizza tracker is as much a product as it is a marketing device. So that took a marketing team and a product team, software product team, and probably in leadership and everybody, right, coming together to say, we're going to do this thing. We're going to create this thing that it's a software tool that's also a marketing device. It's really, really interesting. And Domino's is one example, but there are a lot of examples like this, and I think the easiest way to think about it is that when you think about pizza, the reason why you might buy a pizza in the past was because they had an amazing product. They had amazing pizza. But now the reason you buy them is because they have this great software experience. Same thing with banks. You used to go with a bank because they had close ATMs or great tellers, or you liked something about them. Now you choose your bank based on how good their web app is, how good their mobile app is. Gyms, same thing, right? Like the list really goes on and on and on. And I just think it speaks to the point that every company is really becoming a software company. People are demanding it. Buyers are demanding product-led companies because they want this amazing product experience. And that's really led to the rise of product-led companies, right? So switch back over, get rid of my big face here. That's the intro, and that's really led to the rise of product-led companies. And product-led companies are an adaptation to this shift. Okay, so you get that. You probably get what product-led companies are. If you are here listening to this and paying attention, how do I move my head? Got it. Paying attention to what's going on in the world, you're probably aware that there's this product-led as a movement. And I think that we talk a lot about products-led and what it is and how to do it. You hear a lot about that, and it still feels a little culty and a little trendy and a little bit obscure. But what are you doing differently if you're a marketer working at a product-led company? How is the job different? And it is very different because the go-to-market of product-led companies is very different than a traditional software company, B2B software company, right? The go-to-market is highly influenced by a free product, by focusing more on the product, by having a smaller sales team. But all of these things change how you have to operate. So these are my 5 big tips that I think, or ideas that I think are going to help marketers as they move into this new world. The first is that your product will become your very, very best marketing channel. So new marketing channels don't come around that often, right? There are a familiar few that really power the growth of most companies out there. Email, ads, social media, content. When a new channel comes around that helps you grow your business, it's a big deal. So that in and of itself is huge, right? Just being able to use the product as a channel to reach your users is a big deal. A lot of companies, access to do this isn't granted to marketers. You would have to go through product, or you would have to go through engineering, likely get told no. At product-led companies, what product-led companies do, they build all their teams around the product. Each team's goals, the product is partially responsible for help hitting it. Product-led companies open up access to marketers, to different teams, to be able to use the product to achieve their goals. Most of the time, this is done through in-app guides, right? Some sort of no-code tool that allows a marketing team to target and reach users with a specific message. Pendo makes these in-app guides. Ours are highly targeted. It's a tool that we help lots of different teams. It's a tool that we created to help lots of different teams achieve their goals in the product. And the amazing thing about it is that in-app guides have much higher, much better open rates and much better conversion rates than email or ads or really any other channel, because you can be very targeted with the message that you deliver to people, like while they're doing something. So if let's say you're trying to capture case studies, you could email everybody who uses a specific product, or you could get an in-app guide to a user who you know is a power user, who you know has a good NPS while they're using the tool. And it's right there. Extremely high conversion rates, usually like at least double the conversion rate of email. We've got customers who have 12 times more engagement than email. And so you're not going to get rid of your other channels, right? You're not going to get rid of email or ads or social. You'll use all those too. But when it really comes down to it, when you're trying to get users to take action, you're going to hit them with a guide, and your product will become, the guide and your product really are going to become your best marketing channel, your most ROI positive marketing channel, and really the easiest way to reach customers, to get them to do anything, right? To try a new product, to come to your event, to become a case study, all of these things. All right. Number two, I think that your product launches are going to become the operating system for your entire business, especially your go-to-market teams, right? Today, buyers are more savvy. They have more options. So knowing the product is a must. Like, I think we used to operate in this world where, like, as the CMO, you didn't have to know too much about the product. You had to know enough to, like, write your messaging, and the messaging was always what the market wanted to hear, not what your product did. Very value-based, very visionary, dare I say it, very vaporware-y, right? Like, that's where we used to be. Marketing was all about vision and promises. You buy your billboards in SFO and boom, you're done, right? Today, buyers are smarter. They're more savvy. They have more options. Those options start free, and you have to be able to deliver marketing messages and a marketing experience that is true to your product. Because if it's not, if it's vaporware and they hear something that they want to, and then they get into the product, they're going to immediately churn. It's not what they expected. They're going to immediately churn. They're probably going to blast you on social media. They're going to give you bad reviews on G2 Crowd. Like, this is the new world we exist in. So your sales team has to deeply know the product. It's how they're going to bring the most value. Your marketing team has to deeply understand the product. That's how they're going to create this link. And plainly, when you hire product marketers to help do this, it's going to make that a lot easier. But the biggest tool I think that is going to help with this also is product launches. So a product launch is this really cool device where you say, like, hey, we're going to take all these things that engineering has been working on, and we're going to kind of focus this into this moment in time. And this moment of time is launch day. And it's when everybody's going to come together, work together. Engineering and product have created this thing. They've moved it along on this timeline that's been pushed ahead by the product launch date. Marketing has had to come together across product marketing and PR and demand and event team. And everybody's working together. Everybody's focused on the same thing. And then you have this big product launch. I think one a quarter makes a lot of sense. And you really create this drumbeat of innovation that's product led, but also that brings your teams together. So I've seen this work firsthand. This tweet by this story about Elon Musk, where he talks about vectors, and he's saying everybody inside of a company is a vector. And it's really hard to get people to focus in the same direction. And he says this, but if you can pull it off, he says, this is why a small company with tight focus and high energy can beat a company without. Product launches deliver that. It's a great tool for that. Okay. Third one, free users. All right. So everybody in the world right now, it seems to be launching like a free version of their software. It's very, very popular. There are a lot of examples of companies doing this successfully, Slack and Canva and SurveyMonkey and MailChimp and Zendesk and HubSpot, and they all have free products. All those companies are very successful. All of those companies have good free products, right? There's this idea that, like most product-led companies, they want to have a free product because you grow this big pool of free users, and then you use product-led growth techniques to upgrade these users into paying customers. And that works, right? It works. But I've never seen it work on the pace or at the scale that like your CEO wants it to. It works, but it works slowly, and you need a really big pool of free users for it to work. So in a lot of, it's problematic in those ways. So there are things that you can do here. You can spend a lot of money to grow that massive pool of free users, and then spend a lot of time, have a growth team doing a lot of optimization motions to try to get those people to upgrade. And you should do that if you can, right? The other thing you can do is you can launch products into those free users. So sure, do the PQL motion, but also take your product launch and point it at your free users and align your sales team around it. So when you have a amazing feature that you've just put into the premium offering and it's not in the free offering, launch it to that free audience, and you'll get upgrades. And the conversion rate, which has been low from that free pool, is going to go way up. Because we know that product launches work. We know that they focus all your energy. We know that they get sales, marketing, and product excited and aligned. So they have a big impact. Cool thing about free audience is that they're already familiar with your company. They're already probably a fan of your product. They're already the right product market fit, right? Like you have so much going for you with the free audience. They're just not paying you yet. All the other, like if you're not marketing to a free audience, you have to educate people on what your company does, who you are. You're probably gonna have a lot of wasted spend on people who aren't good product market fit. It's just much harder. And so if you've grown this big free pool of users, launch products into that free pool of user. This will become, over time, this will then become the most important audience for your marketing, because it's going to be the easiest way to as a company, hit your number for the quarter. Free users, super, super important. Okay. Adoption. The fourth one is adoption. So marketing at product-led companies focuses more on adoption, right? In a world where buyers demand the best product experience, adoption is key to success. When adoption is bad, users they're not getting value, they don't come back, and they churn. When adoption is good, users get a tremendous amount of value, they tell their friends, they create social proof, and they fuel growth. And social proof and word of mouth are still the best marketing tool that you can have. People see that as a signal that, yes, I feel good about spending my money with this company, and that's not changing. So adoption is extremely important. And I'm talking mostly through the lens of B2B software companies here, but it's really, adoption is the most important metric, and you can think about it differently for different industries, but adoption is extremely important. So product-led companies have very, very high, great product-led companies have very, very high adoption. They do it because they obsess over adoption, because they know that when adoption is high, all of the things, our business is going to operate more efficiently, more free users are going to convert, like it's going to be, the good things are going to happen. And marketing is, of course, is part of this, because product-led companies, everybody's focused on these goals together. So marketing also is focused on adoption. And this is pretty new, right? Like marketing for like most of the time at most software companies, marketing is focused on lead generation, like top of funnel. We're pulling people in. We're not focused on the adoption, getting our current customers to adopt our products. But we have all the right tools to, right? Like all the tools that we have refined and built in the pursuit of pleasing Google and capturing leads also are going to drive adoption. So think of things like building a narrative, social proof, offers, how-to content, helpful videos. All of these things that work in content marketing are also going to work to drive adoption of your customer base. You just need a way to reach them and to get this content in front of the right people at the right time, which in-app guides are going to help you do. And this is huge. Your product marketing team should spearhead this, but this is going to have a big impact on reducing churn and fueling growth. So adoption will become a much, much more important part of the job. All right. Fifth and final point here is narrative, content, and education will become a bigger focus of your marketing team. And I'd like starting this conversation here with salespeople. And I just think that salespeople are really, really undervalued and extremely important in the success of software companies. Salespeople get the proper amount of credit when it comes to closing deals, right? Like, of course, right? Salespeople close deals, they get credit for that. That's good. What they don't get credit for is the amount of education they do with an audience. And so even if to close a deal, you have to do a lot of education to get people to understand your product, the value it creates, how to use it before they close. But even if the deal doesn't close, sales teams are still doing all of this. And by doing all of this, the sales team, your business is entering into the consideration set of these buyers. Even if they don't buy, even if they go with a competitor, they now know about you. They now understand what you do. And maybe when their contract's up, they come back to you. Or maybe when they move to their next job, maybe the champion wanted to work with you, but they couldn't for some reason. So they go to their next job and then they buy you. Maybe they just tell their friend about something that seems like a better fit for their friend, and that's you. Sales teams do an amazing job at educating a market on your company and what your product is and how it is to how you should be used. But at product-led companies don't have big sales teams. And that's by design, right? Because big sales teams are expensive. To build a massive market educating sales team, you probably have to have a lot of VC money to build this group, right? Product-led companies, they operate more efficiently. They use the product to upsell and educate and service and upgrade users. They don't need these big sales teams, and that's great because they operate more efficiently and they're still able to close deals because the product is selling. What it can't do, the product can't educate the market like a sales team can. But product marketing and marketing in general can step in and fill this role. Just have to be more intentional about it, have to think more about it. Marketing can replace it. At most companies, building a narrative, creating content, educating the market, sharing a point of view is part of marketing's charter. But at product-led companies, it becomes even more important. Companies with a powerful narrative, amazing content, strong point of view, and a machine that creates all of this have done tremendously well in the last decade, right? Like I think of HubSpot and Gong and Wistia and Zendesk. They do this really, really well. It's a huge part of what they do. I worked at HubSpot for 5.5 years before I joined Pendo, and HubSpot spent more time educating the market through marketing on what inbound marketing was, their big narrative, even more so than educating the market on what their company did. And it paid off for them in a huge way, right? So narrative, content, education, even more important at product-led companies because you don't have the sales team to do it. And so it's created this big gap that product marketing can lead this, but really everybody at a company needs to focus on this. Okay, those are the 5 things that product marketing should really lean into. There are a lot of things. Look, you may have others. These are the 5 that I'm thinking about a lot, that I have seen work, that I know that at product-led companies, this is where marketing can adapt and change and have a bigger impact. We're in the middle of this massive shift. The 5 are: your product will become your very best marketing channel. Product launches can become this uniting, motivating, momentum building operating system inside of your company. Free users will eventually become your number 1 audience, your biggest, most valuable audience. A refocus on adoption, getting extremely focused on adoption, will have a massive impact for your product-led company if marketing is involved. And just doubling down on narrative, content, and education. That's it. Those are my 5. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you coming in. I will bring it home with a more pizza. Pizza, right? It's this wonderful, uniting, like universally loved food almost. And that's what, we order it for birthday parties and football games and Friday night movie night because everybody loves it. It's awesome. Pizza's great. And like product-led companies need to do the same thing. They need to bring people together like pizza does. It's like super important for everybody at a company, at product-led companies, all the like collaboration and cross-functional collaboration has to work seamlessly for your product-led company to succeed. And a lot of the times I just see marketing on the sideline or like not knowing what to do. It's like product-led growth or becoming product-led seems like a product or like a growth marketing thing. And marketers don't know how to approach it. Sometimes they're scared of it. They're like, the resistant of it. Like, oh, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. We don't need to change. I know sales teams are sometimes scared of it. And I just think that it can be this amazing, transformative, really, really good thing for you and your career and your company and everything. But we have to change how we think about it. We have to shift. I forget why now I'm talking about pizza, but we got to be like pizza, bring people together. That's it, and I think I want to help do that with Product-led. So thank you for watching. Like I said, I'm Marcus Andrews. I'm the director of product marketing at Pendo. I create a lot of content around narrative design. I like to do things around storytelling. And that's what I write a lot about along with Product-led. Find me on Twitter, find me on LinkedIn, find my podcast. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful holidays. And that's all I got. See you next time.